Okay, so we're going to kick off with just the first simple question, right? Which is, tell us a bit about yourself and how you came about looking for work.
Okay, so long career in South Africa. I'd lived in South Africa. I'm British, but I lived in South Africa for 33 years. I was permanently employed throughout that entire period, had a fantastic career, but made the decision to leave and come back to the UK about 3 years ago. Arrived here, started applying for jobs. Obviously had to get in with the culture. Even though I'm British, it was a change from the environment that I'd worked in. And that was just all embracing. I just took it and went for it. And I ended up with a permanent job with a company here. Was with them for just over 2 years. And unfortunately, at the beginning of this entire pandemic, I was made redundant. Never been redundant in my entire life, never been without a job. Somewhat of a shock. And not the greatest experience in the entire world, but knew that all I could do was brush myself off, get up and carry on. I managed to get a 3-month contract, which I've been working through, but desperately needed to become full-time employed again.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Do you think COVID the epidemic had an effect on you at all in just looking for a job at the beginning? And if so, in what way?
I think that there's two sides to that. So one side was I didn't feel like I was alone. Although the pandemic was, I like maybe majority of people were watching the news constantly, and I was wrapped up in the fear of it all. What was this? How was I going to cope? But there was a part of it that meant that I was one of many, and it wasn't just me on my own. The other part of me was just petrified. At the stage that I am in my life, and obviously my career, got lots to offer. How am I going to sell myself? How is that going to be? And how many doors do I have to knock on to make that happen? So it was daunting. And I literally was sending out CVs after CVs after CVs with very little response. Sometimes people would get back to me, but not as much as I wanted. And it took a long time to get an interview during that period. When I did, I was unsuccessful at getting the job, and that sort of put me into a bit of a panic mode. Obviously competing with a whole load of people with similar skills, perhaps. How do I stand apart?
Okay. Thank you. And how did you find out about Gary Boys?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have a LinkedIn profile. I've had a LinkedIn profile, known the importance of LinkedIn for many, many years. But it was as good as it was based on my knowledge of what I needed to put on there. And I knew it wasn't the best. I certainly knew I didn't stand out. I didn't know how to use parts of LinkedIn and what that meant and how to use it to my advantage. And I must have linked with you at some point in the far distant past because I enjoyed the things that you had to say. And then I just saw you advertising free consultations for career coaching. I knew I needed that career coaching, so I reached out to get in touch with you.
And how easy was it to book an appointment?
Dead easy. Your staff were very, very quick. I sent the message through that I would be interested. Someone called me and asked when would be the best time. I think an appointment was booked within 24 hours. I literally knew when I was going to be speaking to you.
And what were the main things you wanted to get out of the coaching session?
How to pimp up my CV, how to make me more marketable, what was going to be the best things for me to do, and how was I going to do it.
And what did you get in the first session?
Apart from, oh my goodness, let's fix your LinkedIn profile, a lot, which was exactly what I needed. I felt after literally just one, I think it was a bit over an hour with you, I was able to come out of that session with, wow, that's fantastic. My profile now looks like people should read it. And that felt powerful for me. I had a new feeling of positivity that if I could just change that one thing and that would lead to more, then there must be more I could do as well, which was really great. I felt positive for the first time in a long time, about my profile, about me, and the possibility of being able to get full-time employment.
And what further session did you have? What, because you had another.
Again, knowing darn well that I still was not nailing it at an interview. I had one further interview after that, and I, being my own worst critic, I knew there were areas that I could have done better. Sort of after finishing that interview, I went, oh, could have done this, could have said that, wish I'd done that, should have answered. And I don't want to feel like that after an interview. I want to feel like I gave it my best shot. So I reached out to you again, and we had a fantastic session that way ran over our intended hour, which was good. And that was just to put a whole load of other aspects that I needed to look and review about how to take control in an interview, how to be positive, how to avoid pitfalls in an interview. If you say anything negative, the likelihood is you're going to be picked on for those things. And instead of exposing what's, all our weaknesses, or any weakness for that matter, we've all got them, we're just human beings. But making sure that you focus entirely on all of the things that you're really good at. And actually I had a long list of those out of a long career, and that helped tremendously feel far more positive, far more able to prepare myself for the next opportunity, and that felt really good.
And what are the main things you got from all the sessions? Really, if you could summarise it for me, what would it be?
Summarising, understanding myself more, focusing on the things that I know I'm good at, being more self-assured and confident in being able to walk into an interview with my head held high and walk out of it with my head held high, and without having too many doubts, knowing that I'd given it my best shot. And that's what I needed, because in all of the interviews I need to be going to, that's the presentation I want to make. And you know what? You can use all of those skills in my day-to-day operations as well when I'm working. So it's not just about the interview, it's about always presenting the most positive part of yourself. And luckily enough, I think, as you know, I've got a job and I'm so excited. Yay! Can't wait to start. It's just after having been unemployed and not having that future planned ahead of me, I can finally look forward to a future where I can rely on something and hopefully grow and be fantastic with the new company I'm going to be working for.
So final question. So some feedback for me.
Yes.
What's my coaching style like? How would you explain it?
Cheerful and positive and straightforward. You don't mince your words, and I think that's what most of us need. And you need to be able to be open to that criticism. It was always constructive. We laughed through most of the sessions, laughing at myself and making sure that I took away only the best. I never felt negative or down. I was always, after the sessions with you, I knew that I had other work to do, and it was great to be able to get stuck into that work and make it better for myself.
And what advice would you give other people out of work at the moment? Now, when you look at it,
yeah, this is tough. It's tough times for everyone. All you need to focus on is what's the best things about you that you can sell to your future employer, and your future employees. How do you best put yourself forward? What mindset do you need to have when you're faced with questions about your work history and what you've done? Because none of us approach our work to not do well. We all do it to be the best people that we can every day. And that's what you need to be presenting to someone, your future employee. You need to make sure that they want you. You stand out from the crowd because of your LinkedIn profile, the way you present yourself at an interview, and your guts, because that's what it takes. That's all it takes. And we've all got that.
Do you think, thank you for that, by the way. Do you think the market's changed from when you were like, you've looked for a job before? You've looked for jobs in South Africa, and now you're back here.
Yeah.
How would you explain the time now compared to any other time that you've known?
There's competition. So you always knew there was competition out there before. Now you've got hundreds and hundreds of people that you need to compete with. And in order to make yourself stand out, you've got to be fine-tuning that piece of coal, for want of a better description. I think I've explained, I feel like I've always felt like I was an undiscovered piece of coal that needs to be put into the state of a diamond, so that you can shine out every time you have that opportunity. And it wasn't, before you could knock on a door, you could knock on a company, you could phone the managing director, you could speak to the human resources. Well, they didn't even exist in my day. It was all about a newspaper advert, and you phoned them and you sold yourself on the phone and you got the interview and then you got the job. It's a much more intense process that you have to go through, with many stages to an interview, and you've got to keep your enthusiasm up for every single stage, because just because you get to the second stage doesn't mean you get to the third or even the fourth. If you really want that job and if you believe in yourself, you've got to have that display of positivity every single time you speak to anyone that's about to look to you to be employed with them.
And LinkedIn's obviously new. That's a new thing.
Yeah.
For like someone who wasn't converted before.
Oh, go discover it, because I'm ending up selling it myself. I've got a group of staff right now who are going to be unemployed as of the end of this week. And I've pinched a lot of your tips. I am giving them similar advice, probably not in the same skilled way that you do it, but the best that I can. And, letting them look at my profile, helping them understand who they should be connecting with. It's not a social media site. It's not somewhere you should be carefree, and it is a professional site for you to display the very best of who you are to your future employees, future connections that you want to have to grow your career, your networking, whatever you need to use. There's all of that available. And if you're not on LinkedIn, well, nobody knows about you. Every single employer in the UK, and I think around the world now, uses LinkedIn to sift through potential employees. And if you're not putting your best foot forward in there, to me, you're not doing yourself a favor. You're losing a valuable tool.
Well, I mean, you did an amazing job, though. You made the changes.
Yes.
And also, there's one thing about, you're a coach yourself, right? You're a leader of people. And you know yourself that, you can have the best coach in the world, but you have to still implement it.
All about you. Those are the things that you can do for anyone out there who is, and that's what I was missing. I missed direction. I felt like I was in a sea and just bobbing on the waves without being able to swim in any general direction. If that was to point out, that's where many people may find themselves. The one thing for me was finding a direction. Right, I can take control of that. That's something I can do. It's something that's not complicated. With the right guidance, which is what you gave me, it enabled me to take those bits and pieces back and go, right, they're the things I can do. They're the things I can take control of. The rest is just sheer effort on your part to keep doing, because that you've got to. It's like in anything in life. If you sit back and wait for someone to come to your door, it's just not going to happen anymore. Used to be the case. It's not going to happen unless you're putting that energy and effort in. And
so when do you think you're going to start? And what's the start date? And what are you going to do until you start?
I'm getting a new puppy. So that's what I've decided to take on, a new puppy. Crazy, but something I've wanted to do for a long time. And so I'll be spending my time putting him in his place for the first few weeks. And I'm going to have sleepless nights during that. And I think it's just rest a little bit. I have been working in this part-time or a temporary contract. So let's take some time out for myself. Brush up on who I am, what I am, and then head into that office, or head into the remote office that I have right here, and start with huge amounts of and balls of enthusiasm, which is what I'm sitting with right now. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do for the next couple of weeks.
And it's good to see you're not cluttered on the shelf behind you.
I know. Well, just before this interview, quick, it all went, it's still there. I'll just put it all back up when I'm finished. But yeah, having a clear background. Unfortunately, I'm not taking the mirror down. That's just too much reading. So you can't, that's it. Making this background as plain and uncluttered as possible means you just focus on what?
You know what? It's honestly, it's just jokes aside. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you.
Well, same to you.
You know, and to know you've got a job. Well, it's my birthday tomorrow, so it's made my birthday very.
There you go, mini birthday. I'll put a bow on it for you.
Thank you so much. I wish you all the best, and
thank you, Harry.
Good luck in your job. And enjoy your puppy.
I shall. My big lovable little boy puppy. Yep, can't wait. Thank you, Gary. I can't express just how valuable the couple of sessions that we had were. It made all the difference for me.
Thanks. That means a lot to me. Thanks, Hilary. Take care. God bless.
Cheers. You too. Bye-bye. Bye.